If you sit there, then the light is coming from
behind the scenes editing, yeah, this is how we do it out here. So, what?
How many strawberries did you eat to get your sugar levels high? Go on then, how do I do my video? You can do my intro for me then.
Alright guys, this is going to be an interesting video set by Stella Sulsdorf, and she's going to tell you everything that there is to know with, I don't even know what she's going to ask. So while you lot all there tuned in, let's get into the video.
Hi, my name is Stella and this is Kiril, our special guest. My brother, if you didn't know, he's got ADHD and autism. He's done most of the intro for me, so thanks for that, Kiril.
No worries. If you like it, just subscribe down here, click the like button.
It's a bit too early for that,
Are we still, oh, you just filmed the whole thing?
No, just...
Is that usually what you do?
Yeah, and then I edit it after.
So the whole thing's just filming the whole time?
Yeah, and then I just edit it after.
Oh, jokes. I'm gonna make Chris's hand hurt. I'm gonna make Chris's hand hurt.
How did you get diagnosed, and when did you first notice that there was something different about you? Or if you noticed if there's something different about you.
Exactly the same question got asked to me twice. Now I'm confused which one to answer. So
okay, let's ask the first one. How did you get diagnosed?
I got diagnosed in primary school at the age of around about 6, 7 or something like that. Basically, I was all hyperactive around the classroom, not really focusing, not paying attention. Then they sort of tested me for, do you know what, I don't even know, just some random woman came and looked at me, laughed at me and whatever else. And then, I don't know, from then, they kind of just monitored me and I had a TA. That was about as far as I knew.
Do you mean SEN teacher, where they come and sit with you and help you with your work?
Pretty much, yeah.
Well,
so yeah, I didn't really know much about it, to be fair. And my parents could speak hardly any English anyway at the time, so I don't think anyone knew anything about it. I just thought I had bodyguards with me, so.
So were you like being naughty in class, or were you just like not able to concentrate?
I just don't think I could sit, so I'd always be like up, moving around. Your brain would just wander all the time. Like right now, I'm just thinking about Stella's wheelchair. I'm not even joking.
It's pretty sick. It is pretty sick.
That is what I'm thinking about right now.
So did you notice that there was something different about you?
No, I just thought everyone else was boring, I'll be honest. I was just boring, sat at school with a pen and a paper doing their work, and I was like, nah, I'm way too cool for this. Running around bouncing off all the walls, but...
So basically you were naughty, bouncing off the walls, not sitting still, not doing your work.
Not being able to concentrate, can't concentrate on tasks. Proper super hyperactive.
So would you say you're more ADHD than autistic?
The autism part didn't really come into it too much until I actually got into secondary school. And in year 7, sort of they tested me for that.
Hold on, didn't you get tested for ADHD and autism at the same time? Because I remember the people coming to our house. No,
that was later on. That was the adult team. You got your kid diagnosis, and then in the UK, I don't know where it is in the rest of the world, once you get to 18, legally you need your adult assessment. And your adult assessment then stays with you for the rest of your life.
Did the teachers help you to get diagnosed, or was it mum and dad who had to sign some forms?
No, it was the teachers. In secondary school, I was bottom tier. So I started practicing, my dad did a lot of work with me and things like that, and eventually I ended up getting into the top set. So I was actually top set from year 9. Year 9 to year 11, I was top set in school.
But you see, what I think is not that you weren't unintelligent, it's just that your brain was different to the other kids.
I'll be honest with you, I was bored. Point blank telling you, I'm bored, and even now, still to this day, I get bored of conversation.
Do you know what, guys?
I get bored of people.
I'm actually surprised he's doing this video with me, because I can tell right now he's tapping his feet, he's ready to go.
I'm so
like out. This is like such a big deal. What is the biggest difference between autism and ADHD?
Well, it's completely different. So with autistic side, obviously you've got the spectrum, and put this, I won't put myself down as severe and anything like that, but
I think nowadays you can't even say whether you're severe or not.
You're just
have it or you don't.
Yeah, which I still don't agree with. I still think, because there is a spectrum to everything.
Yeah.
But for me, for example, if I'm not interested in it, 0 attention span, but if I am interested in it, that'll be the best.
And is that the ADHD or the autism bit?
Autism. So in terms of like, if it comes to anything I apply myself to, I've got this fear of almost like failing.
Oh, so you do? I didn't know that about you.
Because you've got the fear of failing in there. I can't fail. Like, I just literally refuse to fail at anything. So whether it means working 24 hours a day, can't sleep, need to go up, get in the gym, 3 o'clock in the morning, whatever it is, if I've got it on my mind and I need to achieve it, I need to do it. And I can't stop until that is done. And that's kind of like, I almost now see it as like a superpower to me. So like, I almost see myself, when other people ask me questions like, well, how'd you get up that early? You're crazy for getting that early. You're crazy working that much hours. You're crazy thinking like that. And what I kind of think now is like, they're crazy for the way they think. Do you know what I mean? So that's just my way of sort of dealing with things and kind of seeing it more as a superpower for me, which I've kind of managed to contain now. And it's taken me years to do that. And lots of help from like people like David Goggins. I highly recommend people go to David Goggins because he's just like inspirational in terms of the mind and gaining control.
How about lots of help from maybe your wife or like the parents or like your sister maybe?
Her. Help me. Zero help from this one. Zero.
Tasha's in the corner going,
Zero help.
When's he gonna mention me? Thanks, Dad.
In terms of Tasha probably is the one that probably has to struggle the most with it because she's probably the one that sees my ups and downs the most, or like if we have like a dispute about something and I can't see things any other way and I just can't focus on it because I'm just like, but that's just wrong. And if I just think it's wrong, if I'm wrong, I'll completely admit and I'm like, there's no argument. But if I know I'm right, I'll just go on for days and days and days and just like,
Can you give an example?
An example could be many times just misunderstanding of things. It could be so little like moving house. I don't do very well with moving. So if I'm used, I need routine. The key thing for autism is routine. Like you need to nail that routine down because if you fail the routine or you break the routine, it starts becoming hard. You start getting fidgety, you start getting angry. Little things start bothering you. You snap at people when you shouldn't. And that's why I bring it back to the whole routine. So like bringing it back to my partner. She obviously had to struggle with my routine of like getting up 3 o'clock in the morning every single day, training every single day. So she almost has to adapt certain things of her life in order to sort of accommodate me. So I'm quite lucky in that sense. But yeah, in terms of the person who probably has it the toughest, it is probably my wife that has it the toughest.
Can I just say that's probably one of the nicest things Kiril's ever said? That she's actually laughing because she can't believe you said it. Would you say you're dying? Oh!
It can be tough, and maybe it's easier for me because, like I said, in certain aspects I can just switch off. So I'm very good at like just switching off with things. Like I said, if used in the right way, autism in the right way, I think is like the greatest superpower you can ever have. I'm not even joking.
Is this why Elon Musk is one of your biggest idols?
Yeah, he's up there with like his brain's just on another level. He's focusing attention to his goals is superb.
Why is it whenever, say if you were to go for a job or if you were to apply for something or to meet new people, you would never ever mention that you're autistic or ADHD? Why is that?
For a number of reasons. One, I kind of feel like I can do it myself. I don't need an upper hand.
What about for the people who do believe that having a label or a diagnosis does help them? You can't really speak for other people, just for yourself.
I'm purely speaking for myself in terms of I get people get labels and I think it's good to understand your needs, and I think it's a good understanding, and it's one of the things I used to use in teaching when kids will come up to me and start using all these disabilities that they have. I've got my 35-page document of needs and I'll throw it in front of them and make them read it, and by the end of it they'll be like, wow, so I'm nowhere near as screwed up as you, and then they feel good about themselves.
But you can't say that people with ADHD and autism are screwed up.
No, it's not.
I know you're saying it about yourself, but
it's
that's
just
a
the way I
very
talk.
negative type of thinking.
It's the way I talk and like my limited ability or whatever.
One thing I've noticed about you growing up is if you want to have a conversation with him, you have to be fully making sense when you're talking to you. Yes.
I like direct, straight to the point, easy to understand.
Exactly.
I don't like going round the boat, round this. And even if it might sound offensive, just say it.
He used to work in a school where he was dealing with kids with special behavioural needs. And so you've seen it from both sides. That's what I was trying to get at.
Yeah. I've seen it from both sides, and it brings it back to the point as well. Like, people have needs, and sometimes people just need to unlock those needs and understand ways around their needs. Like, if I can recall in school when I used to get fidgety and I used to have my shirt on, I used to have like a button here and there was like a little bit on top of the button, and I used to play with it. But the only reason I started playing with it was because one of the teachers that I had, like a TA with me, he was the one that said rather than making noise on the table, because I always used to do this with my pen, he said try and do this with your pocket. So that little bit of advice there helped me out massively. So little things can help people once you understand what the problem is. It comes down to the person having to work hard and willing to push harder than anyone else. And if they're willing to do that, the success, I promise you, will be very rewarding. But it's not easy. And like I said, people around you will suffer.
So do you find that autism and ADHD often go together, or do you find that people just get clumped in that category because they have very similar symptoms? Like, is it very clearly different to you?
Well, the ADHD side and the autism side is still two completely different enterprises. I know quite a lot of them are sort of like...
They overlap
and some things go over.
So how do you differentiate the two?
I don't know, I just call myself by my name and that's it. You know what I mean? I don't brand myself as anything.
And even so, when you were working with the kids, you were also just not really looking at what they were diagnosed with or what their issues were. You were just...
You see some of the kids and you know their issues and you know what sort of helps them. But the reality of it is, as long as you don't give them excuses, as long as you give them clear guidance, and this is the problem, we overcomplicate things. You give them clear guidance, what they need to achieve, and you give them some form of purpose to achieve it. It's not just, oh, just achieve this goal and do it. They're literally going to get lost in 2 seconds. It's clear guidelines with targets, setting goals, giving them aims, and then eventually they'll get there and start doing it. And it takes practice. And it's obviously you've got to be firm yourself.
Give us an example of like a day in Kiril's life to get an idea of what your day kind of looks like and how it probably differs to the average person. Like, we know you get up, well, Tasha told me earlier, you get up to go to the gym at 4 a.m. and she struggles with that. Yeah,
there's people that you affect along the way. It's one of those ones you try and give compromises as well. So like on a Sunday, I know it sounds bad, like on a Sunday you wake up later, or on a Saturday you maybe wake up a couple of hours later, but the reality of it is I'm even worse than she. There's no winning necessarily in the situation, because if I stay in bed or I get up, whichever, let's go down the bed route. I get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, I don't go to the gym. Yeah, okay, I might wake her up, but then if I don't get to the gym, I just get fiddly in the bed.
Fiddly in the bed?
I'll start moving around, fiddling around. So it wakes her up anyway. So then you try the other route and you get out of the bed and then you go into the kitchen. I end up breaking stuff, or I end up doing stuff. So even
why are you breaking stuff by accident? Because you're not paying attention.
Just open the cupboard, and the cupboard's wet. I don't know. They just fall out. They literally just fall out. As I say, it's not my fault.
Describe a day in your life, for example, like a typical day.
So a typical day, that's a good day. Wake up around 3:30. Like I said, no alarm clock. Hate alarm clocks. Just get up automatically.
So how do you know you just to get up at 3 a.m?
Body clock.
Okay, so you get up.
Like I said, between 3 and 3:30, I tend to get up anyway. Then, like I say, get myself sorted, get ready for the gym. I like quick, intensive sessions in the gym. So anything between 45 minutes to an hour is like...
So what happens if, say, one day you can only do half an hour instead of 45 minutes? Or you accidentally stay for an hour and a half by accident and you haven't noticed? Does that mess up your routine?
No, because my routine, I've got my exercises that I do, my routines that I do, so everything pretty much fits within that bracket, and I tend to push myself to the point where I can't really go much further. So I'd never tend to do an hour and a half, because the intensity that I work at will never allow me to do an hour and a half, and I'll probably be thrown up all over the gym floor if I did an hour and a half of it. So I think that's I don't really look at the clock as well, so I kind of just do the thing. Then as soon as I do that, I'll go off to site. So whatever the job is, I like to get there 5:30 in the morning, have a look around, know exactly what needs to be done for the day, get my orders ordered in. I'm already getting materials and stuff sorted by 6 o'clock, 6:30, everything's on site, ready to go. Sometimes workers will turn up from 7:30, get ready to start for 8. They sort of finish at 4 o'clock, but then for me, then I'm already thinking about other ideas, other things.
Other ideas like what? Like
could be other businesses, other ventures that I want to go in with people. Then come home. I don't tend to eat so much throughout the day. I tend to sort of have 1 meal, 2 meals at a push. At the moment, I'm purely just on steaks.
So what would happen if, say, on a day where you were only planning on eating steaks, you accidentally ate something else?
It's fine. It's fine. Like, I'm not so strict on that. Like, say, for example, today will be sweets. Like, probably have a little bit of a cheat day today.
But you knew that today was Mum's birthday, so you knew. But what if you just forgot and the routine broke off?
Very, very rarely will I forget.
What people wanted to know is, do you have any special interests, and what are they? Because that is always the big question.
Do I have special interests?
Gym?
Yeah, no,
and diet. Your marathon stuff.
I do, yeah, no, I do have a special interest, but I'll kind of bracket it rather than just putting in gym and stuff like that. I like to push myself to the extreme. So one of the challenges we did the other week was we went to Ben Nevis and we climbed it.
In Scotland?
In Scotland, yeah. And I was sort of looking at all the times and all the times people were doing it in, and I can see it's pretty average, around 6 to 8 hours with like a proper average time. And for me, that's just not good enough. I've never done hiking before in my life. Obviously, I knew we were going with a group, so I thought, okay, we're going to stick together. It didn't quite work out like that, but originally it was like, we're going to stick together. It's going to take us a long time. We'll take like 8 hours, 10 hours or whatever. So I thought to myself straight away, how do I make this more challenging for myself? Forget everyone else, how do I make it more challenging for myself? So what I decided to do is I decided to do it on a 2-day fast. Also, that's zero food in my mouth other than water. Water is the only thing I consumed. Went up the mountain, came back down, and then again, for me, it's just a case of like, well done. Like, it's not about telling people about it, but because I've now done it on a 2-day fast, for me, it's a little bit more of an achievement because not many people will be able to necessarily climb Ben Nevis on a 2-day fast.
How tall is Ben Nevis?
I think it's about 1,100 feet or something like that. It's like 10 kilometers up, 10 kilometers down.
And there's no safety there, is it? You were
no,
saying
it's just stones. It's just like stones. It's like there's a path, but like it's a rubbly path, and it can get quite dangerous.
Do people go off the path sometimes then?
You can, but
you don't want to.
Yeah, you kind of look and find your way. But like I said, I saw some people like constantly, they couldn't get around one corner without eating or needing a drink or seeing them eat Haribos. Whereas I'm there focusing on just doing it on a fasted
I think
state.
people just are taking it in, like they're taking in the sights, the scenery, and just having a little snack while they have a little break. So I think your brain automatically goes, oh, they need food.
Yeah, whereas I don't. That was my challenge, that I didn't want to do it with food. And they were worried for me that something was going to happen to me. So it's kind of like...
The funny thing is I'm never worried about him. Because he always does extreme things, but he's got this like mindset where like, no matter what, he gets through it. Like when you cut through your arm, do you still have the... Oh yeah, you still have the scar.
Still got the scar there.
He cut through his hand with, what was that blade?
Angle grinder.
He had to have plastic surgery, isn't it?
No, not plastic surgery. It was a case of they had to stitch it all back together again and then sort of sew it up.
So what was that whole thing about a plastic surgeon?
No, they were saying that I might need it.
Oh, okay.
That I might need it and stuff because if I couldn't get it. So basically I've lost nerve endings and stuff like that. But literally straight after having the surgery, next day I was doing press-ups. Straight away back on press-ups while everyone was saying don't do them, don't do them. I was sitting there getting back on the press-ups. Obviously I couldn't do flat press-ups, but I was doing fisted press-up to try and build up as much as I can of the strength back in the arm so I didn't lose it.
Do you think you ended up cutting your arm because of your concentration levels?
Possibly could be, in fact, because like I said, the whole story, basically, I had my phone on the side. It was like the last cut I needed to do to finish the job. And I left my phone on the side. Never, ever, 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 ever work with your phone, okay? Because 5G is no good for the baby. But yeah, no. So having the phone out like that, I had it on the side. I'm cutting the last thing and literally the phone vibrates. So I get a phone call. For that split second, it's all it took while I'm cutting metal. That split second for me to take my hand off the tool to look at the phone, ended up spitting back on myself and cutting me completely open here. So like I say, it's my fault. It's a lack of concentration. I completely do not condone it. Never have your phone on you if you're working on site. Do
as I say, not as I do then.
Correct.
Do you still have your phone on you when you're working on site?
I can tell you still do, yeah.
So your special interest, is it basically anything extreme?
Anything extreme, from cycling to cars to planes to any jumping. It just gives me a buzz. It's like a bit of adrenaline. It's like such a high that you get. So
because I remember when your special interest was football and like you were obsessed with football. You were getting the sticker books. You had to get each one in. Yeah. Then you wanted to be part of the football team. Literally, my dad went to Bulgaria with him for what, 2 months?
2 months that turned into a long time off.
A long time, and then one day he was just like, oh, I don't want to do football anymore. So if somebody believed that they have either ADHD or autism, what are the, would you say...
Don't become a footballer.
What are the main signs to look out for? Say like the main signs in autism and the main signs in ADHD to look out for.
Autism one is quite a hard one because there could be so many levels. So the first things could probably be like making eye contact with people. I mean, I've become quite good. I'm almost more extreme now where like, I focus into the eyes. But originally it's like you look away or you won't make so much eye contact with the person. If you're uncomfortable with someone around you, you might just like look down at the floor the whole time. If you're not engaged in conversations for any reasons, you might just look away from the person, try not to make eye contact with the person because you just feel safer that way. You don't necessarily want people coming from behind you because your natural reaction is to get angry. Obviously things like noise, really loud music like clubs and bars tend to do my head in.
Are there any sounds that like really, really you can't stand?
I guess high decibels or whatever, the higher the decibels or whatever.
What are the signs to look out for ADHD if somebody thinks they might have it?
Yeah, ADHD is sort of so like fidgety.
Like how I keep moving your hand because people can't hear you when you cover your mouth.
Inability to like focus on things and stuff. But like I said, there's still ways around this, do you know what I mean?
What have you done personally that has helped you to focus more?
One, find stuff that you're interested in. Genuinely find stuff that you're interested in, no matter what it is. Even if it's just a brick, even if it's a train, even if it's the sky, if it's the solar system, whatever it is. And it doesn't matter if someone makes fun of you, whatever it is. Find that niche bit that you, doesn't matter how niche it is, no matter how crazy people think you are or stupid you are for thinking that that is cool. Do what you think is good for you, whether it's skateboarding, anything, ballet, whatever you want to do, and focus all of your attention on that and you'll be completely fine. Because what lots of people do is they find embarrassing doing things, people make fun of them, then they're not really interested in things, so they get forced to do that. So like school, you get bored. I got bored a lot in terms of subjects.
Do you think you would have done better at school had you have not had ADHD?
I don't know.
Because your concentration would have...
I don't know, because they used to give me the meds. I used to be on meds from year 7 to year 9 and they were dead. The Ritalin ones, they used to just kill you, just like a zombie like that. But maybe for some people it might. For me personally, I thought it was awful and it was like ruining your ability to even function. And like, just because you're hyperactive, and I think there's a big massive diagnosis in people with hyperactivity because they're just bored. Schools have not adapted. Do you know what I mean? We're still at the same stages that we needed when we were going back in the war stages.
And would you say that about workplaces as well?
Workplaces now, they're probably a little bit more active. Like sometimes like, you need to go to meetings, you need to do this, you've got to move to the office, you go for dinner, you go for lunches, you meet clients, you do that. You're constantly a little bit more active than just stuck at a chair or at a desk.
Would you be able to give advice to somebody who say like is at uni or who is in the workplace, who's struggling with their concentration and to do their job properly?
Well, if you're at uni, first of all, congratulations, you're in uni, so you're doing something, right? Do you know what I mean? So, well done to you, you keep doing what you're doing. I personally found university way easier than secondary school.
But you did go to uni.
I did, but again, I found it way easier than actual school, because school was just too many subjects that I did not care about, I had zero interest in them. Even, for example, one of my favourite subjects, which was maths, there was lots of elements of maths that I found very boring as well. Until it came to numbers. Numbers, money was my thing. I'm all interested for it. All the other bits and pieces, my mind would just switch off and I could not be bothered.
Well, like algebra.
Just pointless. Pointless. There's nothing.
Don't say that to Chris, the maths teacher back there.
I know. Chris is a genius, man. There's nothing behind it. Chris is awesome, man. Picking his brain, and like now I find it more interesting, but at the age when I was young, it wasn't for me. I'm unemployable, basically. It's quite hard now to sort of give that time to someone else.
And even the other day I made a joke with him that he doesn't have a job because I don't have a job. My job is...
content designer.
Yeah. And I used to say that I'm a content creator, which I don't even really do Instagram anymore, but I've taken to doing YouTube.
Is this a red strawberry?
Yeah. Although I would argue it's a little bit orange in some bits and a bit green and white on the top.
Okay. You got to find what you're best at, and that is your job. Any company you go into, you got to find what your best skill is to help that to become valuable. The second you become valuable, you have a big step on people. And I believe in generally pushing yourself and struggling a little bit until the point where you desperately need that help beyond belief. Then you ask for the help. So for example, I need to change the desk, or I need to do that because I can't work with this person. But have you tried working with this person? Have you tried this strategy? Have you tried this? Have you tried that? Yes, I have. Then you can ask for that. Not just, oh, I can't work with this person, then go and ask.
See, this is where we would disagree, because I think you should always ask for accommodations, because why should you struggle if you don't need to? If something could be made easier for you, why should you have to struggle and pull through it when the workplace should technically accommodate you? But I guess that's my thinking behind it.
That's where our minds are different. I believe in struggle, and I think you become better and you become more resilient, you become tougher, and I genuinely believe you become better with struggle.
The thing with Kiril is he's like very, very realistic. He's also very blunt. And I think, would you say that you're a person where you either love you or hate you?
Yeah, probably. But to be fair, the reality is, even if you hate me, I don't care.
What I'm saying is like, You know how some people, you meet them and you're like, yeah, they're all right. Yeah, I don't mind. They're all right. I think with you, when you meet people, you just go full on. You're either too much or they like you.
Yeah. Sometimes depending on how excited I am at that moment. So it depends how much sugar I've had in my body can really determine.
Do you know what? His is so well, because sometimes when you have a conversation with him, like you start talking about something and he just goes off on to talking about something else completely. You don't even know where the conversation started. But is that your strategy for changing the conversation into something that's interesting for you?
I tend to find people interesting. So always my favourite go-to question is, what's your favourite food? What's your favourite CD? Really simple ones, because if the person next to you can't have that conversation, then there's no point talking to them. The conversation that people love to ask, what do you do for a living? I hate that question.
I hate that question as well.
Because what are you trying to do? Bracket me? Whether
Yeah.
you can talk to me? Are you trying to, I don't know, put me into a bracket whether I'm good enough to talk to you? So I try and get them to change it and be like, what's your favourite CD? What food do you like?
So Kiril's attention is going bad, I can tell. So we'll give you a break now. But to end things off, is there any advice you can give or some final words you can give of positivity or anything?
My famous words, never go back in life.
That's a good one.
Never go back in life. Even if you found something hard, never go back, keep pushing forward. And if you realise the more you keep going, the more you succeed. Have clear strategy to what you want to achieve and you will achieve it. That's my advice to you. And
Last words.
And I'll send the quote for you later on.
Who thinks Kiril will be good at TED Talks?
Absolutely not, no.
Do you know why you wouldn't? Because in TED Talks they have like a thing where they read it. You will be able to do that. You just go off on a tangent.
Yeah, 100%.
You make everyone on there annoyed with something you've said.
I think I'm liability.
And I just want to end this by prefacing that this is just Kiril's opinion.
Correct.
This is not going to be true for everybody. This is just Kiril's experience with autism and ADHD. Do you know what? We didn't talk about dyslexia at all, but if you guys want to hear Kiril talking about dyslexia, we can do a whole other video about it.
No, we don't.
He says no, but he actually enjoys being on camera.
I don't. I really don't.
He is the least shy.
So make sure you get your likes in and subscribe down here to Stella Salsdorf. Sponsored by iPhone.
I wish I was sponsored by iPhone.
There we go. Peace out. Kiril's out.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Kiril.